So today we are going to be talking about wellness in the classroom and how it starts with you, right? This is the good news and the bad news that I'm sharing with you guys today. So we will be talking about the problem. Why is it that your classroom kind of gets a little chaotic, and why it starts, why the problem is you sometimes, right? I'm going to define co-regulation and the nervous system. This is something that gets thrown away a lot and people talk about it all the time, but it's never defined. So I'm going to try to do it as quickly as possible and basically give you my master's in clinical psychology. And finally, I'm going to end with giving you some simple solutions around all of these things. But this conversation is about you and your role in the classroom and your nervous system in the classroom. So let's put that in our mind. So first, the problem, why you may not be able to stay calm, and then that creates chaos in your classroom. So the first reason that you may not be able to have well-being in the classroom is because of something that I like to call the cycle of the caregiver. So who are the caregivers in children's lives? Parents, teachers, coaches, extended family, and friends. And they're asterisked because it's people that help children on a regular basis, right? So it's those extended family members and those friends that help you on a regular basis. And the cycle of the caregiver is really, the healthy way to do it is to stay on the outside of this cycle. But the way that it usually works, and let me turn on my little, let me turn on my little laser pointer so we can say, we usually start off really super duper happy, right? And we are looking at the students and the children that we take care of. But then, our children are happy, our students are happy, they're glad to be there, but to no fault of our own, children get upset. And that's because of their nervous system, because of normative development, and because of things happening in culture and the environment. And that immediately creates burdensome and a bad mood and a bad response from us, the caregivers, right? So some people get stuck in trying to make them feel better so you feel better. And you get stuck in this little tiny circle of the cycle. That does not work. It does not work to stay stuck trying to change the children so that you feel better. You have to keep going in the cycle and begin to pause, reflect, and understand what's going on inside of you when they get upset. And to do that, you have to know about your nervous system, you have to know normative development, and you have to know skills and tools how to get back to happy. But sometimes adults get stuck here just thinking about themselves, just doing the yoga, just doing the positive affirmations, and they get stuck in this circle as well. And that doesn't help us as caregivers. We can't get stuck up here and only thinking about what we need and our needs. And this sometimes happens to you guys as teachers. You love your lesson plan, you get stuck on the lesson plan, you want to make yourself feel better about the lesson plan, but you're not paying attention to what's happening over here. So again, in the cycle of the caregiver, this sometimes is your problem about why you in the classroom can't stay calm and create a way of well-being. Now, problem number 2, take a moment, look at this feeling chart. What emotions do you avoid? When do you say, I shouldn't feel sad, I shouldn't feel angry, I shouldn't feel scared? That, my friends, is suffering. Pain is the natural bubbling up of feeling, but suffering is telling yourself that you shouldn't feel this way. That is a problem. If you're stuck thinking, I shouldn't be upset that this child is responding this way to me, you stay stuck. You stay stuck in trying not to feel that. If you say, oh, I'm really frustrated that I can't help this student, it will cause you to pause, reflect, and think about how you can manage that. Feelings are just information, so don't judge them. And, you'll get away from the problem of why you can't stay in the well-being of the kids. Now, we get triggered by children, students. It's perfectly normal to get triggered by your students because everything that happens in our nervous system is really automatic, really fast. So if you don't know how to manage rejection, your student is going to trigger you. Every single time your student is like, no, I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do this. You feel rejected. You feel like they're rejecting your lesson. And if you manage rejection by freezing or fleeing or fighting it, you're not going to be able to help that student. Conflict. How do you generally manage conflict? Do you fight? Do you try to convince somebody else when you're in conflict? Or do you get frozen and do you get stuck and then you just people please in conflict? That's not going to work in your classroom either, because children have natural conflict. If they're under 10, they're going to have social conflict within the classroom. It's perfectly normal. If they are teenagers, they're going to have conflicts with you because they want autonomy, they want independence. And the key there is for you to pause, reflect, and wonder, why are they rejecting? Why are they in conflict? They're not being disrespectful. They are responding automatically from their nervous system. And finally, sadness. A lot of us, especially caregivers that love the work that we do, we get overstimulated and concerned when a student is sad or disappointed. And that's beautiful because that shows empathy, but also that doesn't put you into a solution if because of that, you end up kind of not sticking to your boundaries and you end up giving in, or you end up getting frozen because a student is sad. So that's another problem. And finally, your wellness and your mental health. And this is a really important slide. So let me take some time with it. First and foremost, this is how you know if you need to worry and if you need to seek further assistance from a mental health professional. First, your body. Do you have insomnia? Do you have hypersomnia? Hypersomnia is just like the constant need to sleep, the constant feeling of being tired, the constant need of just kind of like falling apart. Do you have physical ailments that your medical doctors are continuing to tell you that, there's really nothing wrong with you? Your mind. Are you constantly repeating thoughts of worry, concern, dread? Do you believe that you just can't keep going, that you're just completely burnt out? You're feeling hopeless. Again, if you have these body sensations and if you have these mind ruminations, it is important to wonder, hey, maybe I need to seek assistance. And if this is going on for you, it's really hard to stay calm so there's well-being in your classroom. Social interactions, right? Are you explosive? Are you constantly irritable in your social interactions with your loved ones, with your friends, with your colleagues? Do you avoid groups and social opportunities because it overwhelms you to think that you have to be around big groups? And are you always feeling judged by others? Again, if you have these symptoms with your body, your mind, and your social interactions kind of grouped together, or at least one or two in each column, it is really important for you to seek assistance. Because again, if you are not handling this for yourself, it is really hard to handle it with your students. And finally, this is a hard one, but behavior. Are you using food, shopping, sex, alcohol, drugs to cope with these things that I just described before, to cope with your body sensations, with your mind sensations, with your social interactions? Is it the way that you kind of shut down? Do you buy the purse when you don't want to feel? That's not a safe and healthy coping mechanism. So again, if this is part of the reason why you can't stay calm and you get out of sorts in the classroom, it's really hard to have well-being in the classroom if you don't take care of you. I always like to say, we cannot teach what we cannot do. So keep this in mind, take a picture, process, wonder. Okay, so all of these things that I just shared before happen in big ways because of our nervous system, and co-regulation is usually the answer to calming it. So I'll give you guys time to read this quote because it's important to kind of take it in and understand it. So what does it mean to feel safe? It doesn't mean that you speak to your student like this. It doesn't mean that you say to them, excuse me, but it's absolutely necessary that you listen to this moment right now. What did I just do? I just startled all of you. I just put your nervous system into high alert. You weren't safe. You weren't with me. How often do we do this as caregivers when we are overwhelmed and frustrated? I know it was super shocking for me to do that. Take a moment and put your hand to your heart and just kind of breathe through that. I needed to do that to kind of show a simple and drastic example of how sometimes we put our students and our children in a place where they don't feel safe. And it's also a precursor to thinking and understanding the nervous system, right? I call the nervous system our alarm, right? Our nervous system is the alarm that goes off to help us think and manage what's happening around us. So one way that our nervous system responds to the world is called the ventral vagal way. And that is when we are ready to connect, when we are ready to learn. The PFC is online. What is the PFC? The prefrontal cortex, this upper area of our brain that is known as the thinking brain. That's where we can pause. That's where we can reflect. That's where we can have logic. When our nervous system is in that place, this is the place where we are ready to be available to connect and to learn. But sometimes, to no fault of our own, boom, 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 we get into the sympathetic sense, right? Right before, when I screamed at you to make a point, I put all of you into the sympathetic automatic response of your brain. Again, this that I am sharing is automatic. There's nothing that you could do to stop it, but there's so many things that you can do so you can manage it. The sympathetic system is ready to act, ready to defend. It's fight, flight. It's that student that's about to take a test and they get scared and boom, their nervous system turns on. The test becomes a tiger and they're running away from that test. Right? That's automatic. That's fast. The best thing to do with them is not tell them, of course you could do this test. Go to it, get to it. No, the best thing to do with them is say, wow, yes, it's scary. Let's take a moment to calm down. Let's put our hand in our heart and our hand in our belly and breathe so we can get back to that ventral vagal, right? We need to pull children out of fight flight as best we can. And finally, the other way that the nervous system responds, like this, automatic, super fast, there's nothing you could do about it, it just happens automatically, is the dorsal vagal, complete shutdown. When we freeze, when we faint, when we feel drained and unmotivated, and in the worst case scenarios, when we get depressed, right? That also, the prefrontal cortex is completely offline. It's not thinking, not acting. So think of it like a deer, right? A deer is perfectly fine eating its little grass. Then the tiger shows up and it goes into sympathetic mode. It runs away from the tiger. Run, 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 run. But then the tiger gets really, really close. And what does the deer do? Act dead. Dorsal happens to us, but we're a little more complicated because we're human. And this is actually very common in your adolescent students. They get into that place of whatever, I don't care. This isn't important to me. They're not being disrespectful. They're not pushing back on you. They're not trying. They have gotten into shutdown. And the best response is to say, you're right. This is really hard. How about if you take a moment and go take a drink of water and come back and see if we can get you out of this? So again, the nervous system is automatic, and it's not about stopping these states. It's about listening and understanding these states so that then we can manage our nervous system. And again, our nervous system is our alarm system. But what is the surveillance? What is being used by the brain to understand the world? Well, first of all, it's taking cues from our body. Are we hungry? Are we thirsty? Are we sleepy? If those things are out of balance, you will be going into fight, flight, or freezing a lot faster and a lot more automatic than if you did sleep, if you did eat, if you did move, right? Right now, your body is pumping, your brain is pumping your heart, your brain is making your lungs work, your brain is making your digestive system work, and you are not thinking about it. But that does affect the surveillance of danger, right? And to turn on the alarm of your automatic nervous system, right? The in-between, others' nervous system, right before when I screamed at you, even here in this web world, you felt it. You were with me. My nervous system getting really loud and really scary activated yours. This is both the greatest fear of being a teacher, but it's also the greatest strength, because I want you to know that if you for a moment, stop, find your feet, breathe. When your class is getting chaotic, they will respond to that. I'll do it right now for us. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to go. Some of you tried not to breathe when I was breathing, but you wanted to. That's our nervous system being together. The in-between of the two of us is incredibly important, right? And our senses. How are we taking in what we hear, what we see, what we smell, how we are in space? Be very, very mindful of how loud is your classroom? How smelly is your classroom, right? What's the lighting like? That also affects us. Have you ever been in a space like a mall? Like malls are very, very loud. And for some of us, it makes us really uncomfortable. So that also affects how you automatically respond to the world. Now, the other way and the best way and the fastest way to calm down being in fight flight or being in freeze and shut down, and for teenagers, the whatever mode, is to co-regulate. So often, so many people are talking about self-regulation and independently feeling better, but it's so overrated. When we are neurologically overstimulated, when we are in fight flight, when we are shut down, somebody telling us, get it together, or you can handle this, rarely works. Someone telling us, I know, this is so hard. Let's take a moment and calm your body down. Let's pause and reflect. That works so much better. That, my friends, is the best example of co-regulation. Co-regulation is the ability for me and you to see and soothe one another. I want you to have this picture. When you are in the classroom, all of those students in the classroom have a plug from their nervous system and they plug into yours. So you always have to wonder, what are they plugging into? And let's say, right now you're like, oh my goodness, Lena, this is horrible information. No, please stop talking, right? Let's say that you are overstimulated. Let's say that you are overwhelmed. It's perfectly okay to say, hey guys, let's start off with a calming exercise because I need it. And that way we can start on a good foot. Then you walk them through maybe a grounding exercise. What's a grounding exercise? First, find your feet. And then tense the muscles from the feet all the way to the top of your head. Tense and let go of your calves, tense and let go of your thighs, tense and let go of your tummy, tense and let go of your shoulders, and then breathe. Do that with your entire classroom. And that is co-regulating. That is getting back to center that plug. But I promised you solutions, right? Because again, you have to get ready for them to plug into you. So what can you do? You have to take care of the internal surveillance system. You have to take care of your body, the in-between, which is the social, and the outside, which is your senses, your automatic feelings, and your perceptions. So inside your body, first, you have to take care of the basics. We need sleep. 7 to 9 hours. We need to eat well and not diet culture, no carbs and all that business that, the world tells you out there. It's like, oh, lose 5 pounds in 10 days. Not that. Eating well, eating balanced, eating nourishing without telling yourself that you're bad for eating. We all really need to eat approximately every 3 hours. Just choose something that makes your body feel healthy and make sure that you're not eating not to feel. And exercise. The minimum exercise that the brain needs and the nervous system needs is 4 times a week, 30 minutes. It could be cardio, it could be yoga, it could be dancing to your favorite songs. For those of you, un poquito de merengue, for those of you in Latin America, a 30 minutes of merengue is fabulous. Go ahead and do it. Helping and having fun. Make sure that you are being, helpful to others and laugh often. If you have a big thing, something that you're really nervous about, what's the best thing to do the night before? Watch a comedy, watch a comedian, laugh. Pretend to laugh, go. Really, it seems ridiculous, but all of you laugh for a minute there. That will help your nervous system get sunlight. The sun is a powerful tool for all of us. And take walks. You know, when you're making a phone call, go outside and walk while you're talking. You know, in your breaks, go outside, take off your shoes, walk on the grass. That really, really helps you. And it's fun and it works and it helps your body. When completely overwhelmed, when completely like, oh my God, do this with me right now together. Let's take a deep breath in, a slow breath out. Twist your body. Tighten your muscles. Loosen your muscles. Cover your eyes and breathe. That took us less than a minute. Do that in your classroom. Do that before a test. Do that when your classroom starts going, oh, and it starts building up. Choose one of these. When overwhelmed, these things work. These things work to get us back into ventral, into ready and relaxed mode for our nervous system. And finally, to get back to center, most times than not, just add water. Drink water, splash water on your face, take a bath, take a cold shower. These things really help the body to go jolt and be back in. Now the in-between. Here's a picture of me and 3 of my 5. We all need 5. Who are your 5? Who are those 5 people in your life that you can go to and they support you and they're with you and they're not there telling you shoulds or criticizing you or punishing you. They sit there and they look at you and they say, yes, oh my goodness, that's so bad. It's not the person that goes, I see, no, let's go buy a purse. I see, no, let's go drink some tequila. No, no, no. Well, maybe every once in a while, but your 5 really needs to be that person that you feel seen and soothed for. Here's me with my 3 out of 5. And, you know, make sure that if you don't have them, find them, think about it, wonder for yourself. How do you protect yourself in relationships rather than attempt to connect? Why are you doing it? Again, you cannot teach your children and your students to be social if you're not doing it yourself, right? What is the story you tell yourself about being social? Are you trying to be perfect? Are you trying to people please? Work on that. Take a picture of this because we were meant to connect. The brain created the ability to co-regulate because that's how we build nations and cities and villages. We had to collaborate with one another to protect ourselves from all those tigers that were coming after us. And when we did, we excelled. Co-regulation, connection with others is what moves you forward. And when you get stuck not knowing what to do in relationship, it's really important to think, well, what would I tell my best friend? So this part is incredibly important. Again, self-regulation, picking yourself from your bootstraps and doing it on your own. That doesn't really work when you're in fight flight, when you are just burnt out and in the place of whatever's. The social connection will get you back to calm and connected into ventral vagal, which is where I want you to be. Now outside, your senses, use aromatherapy, use massage, aromatherapy, you know, something that, you know, is inviting and makes you feel delicious. Now be careful with this in the classroom because I want you to kind of check and see what works for the children. If the children have sensitive senses, you know, a smell in the classroom may overwhelm them, but things that kind of generally work is lavender or sweet things like apple or cinnamon smells. Those kind of work a lot for people. Massage, why does it work? Because you're doing that to your body. You're doing it to your tactile. If you are irritable, ask yourself, is it too loud? Is there a bad smell? Have I been sitting too long? Do I need touch? When you need touch, right, it's perfectly okay to hug yourself and sway. But again, this is a way to get out of fight flight, to get out of whatever's and move back into that ventral vagal place that I need you to be so you could be the well-being of your classroom. Feelings are information, not direction. When frustration bubbles up, you don't have to scream. You don't have to fix. You just have to say, oh my God, I'm so frustrated that this lesson plan is not going well. Now you have a solution. Now you have a way to figure it out. So always ask yourself, what am I feeling? What does it remind me of? Sit with the feeling. Don't quickly try to fix it. Don't quickly drink some alcohol. Don't quickly go shopping for that purse. Stop, think, and allow the feelings to bubble up. No more, I shouldn't feel, and more, why am I feeling this? Perceptions. It is so important to really notice what we think and what we wonder about in the world. The best way to get clear on perceptions, to kind of clean up, the clouds that we are in when we are in fight, flight, or when we are in whatever's and just completely shut down, is to meditate. You only need 7 to 12 minutes a day, and your brain will get better at pausing, because we really need to pause to get out of sympathetic and dorsal mode, to get out of fight, flight, and whatever's, right? Multiple times a day, pause, check in with your body, check in with your feelings, and slow down, reflect. How is this making me feel? So that you can get back to ventral, and then choose how you'll take your actions. And check your expectations. If you get stuck on thinking that this is what I should do and this is what I want to happen, you tell your brain to only look at, I want this lesson plan to turn out like this. And then you miss everything that's happening around you. You miss the possibility of what's happening in the classroom. You miss the possibility of what's happening in the relationship. So get out of fixed expectations and open yourself up to possibility. And remember, if you are having those issues that I shared in the earlier slide of insomnia, worrying thoughts, hopeless thoughts, getting stuck on feeling like you're being judged and not being able to be social, or you're using drugs, alcohol, sex, any of that stuff to cope, to feel better, there's nothing wrong with seeking assistance from a mental health professional, from somebody in your spiritual community. And yes, religion and ritual, it's very important. That's why it's been around for millennia. It does help us to get out. Those of you that pray, it will help you to get out of fight, flight, and from faint. Go back to religious rituals. And, or if you're not religious, create your own. It could really be helpful. So this is the way to be social with me. I know we have some questions, so I'd love to answer them, but take a picture of the slide, because I am constantly sharing information in my social world. I have blogs in English and Spanish all about, parenting and social emotional learning. So head on out there, and I hope that you'll follow me there. But for now, let me go back to Will, so we can see what questions we have and maybe have a little time to answer them.
Thank you so much, Lena. That was wonderful. What an amazing session. It was just as great watching it the second time. There's always something to glean from what you're saying. There's a lot there. So thank you very much for putting so much into 30 minutes. It's not long, is it? 30 minutes.
I know. I could do one slide an hour in a big retreat for sure. And we could just spend one hour in each slide. And, maybe someday I'll do that retreat. We'll see.
Yeah. So we've had, there's a couple of comments that we've had that are related to kind of losing control of things a bit. So the things you've been describing are not based on any assumptions, but I suppose assuming that a teacher is able to stop and do that and think of it at that time and think of all the advice you've given at that particular moment. What if things kind of just feel like they're rolling, snowballing out of control? Would you approach things differently in that situation if the lesson just kind of feels like it's getting worse and worse and harder?
I challenge everyone that when you are feeling out of control, when you are doing a lesson, trust that everybody listening to you is feeling that way as well. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking 45 seconds and stopping and going, you know what, guys? Let's take a moment. By the way, this is a super secret way to join socially with others. You put your hand on your cheek, you put your hand on your heart, and you say, okay, everybody, join in with me. Let's take a moment to breathe in and out. And, always that swaying, right? We sway with children. Don't be embarrassed about this. If you are feeling tension while you are presenting a lesson, they are too. Trust the beauty of our nervous system that allows us to be together. So take 45 seconds.
I mean, that just,
Teach little ones to do that.
That just helped me just then, even just then, just doing that was just really nice. That feeling, actually, just having my hand on my face and actually sort of knowing that feeling is there. Usually, sometimes I do that, but I don't really appreciate what that actually is.
Yes, this is from when parents nurse their children. They often touch their cheek because that calms them and it also helps them to suck. So we have a lot of automatic places in our body. If you touch someone here, you feel that relational kind of, if you're dating someone and you really want them to like you, go ahead and rub their cheek the next time you're together. There you go, dating advice.
Thanks very much. Okay, so we've got one more question. I'm just going to read it because it's relatively long. How can we limit the negative conversations in the middle of which we find ourselves in the workplace? I often find myself in these conversations that just drain my energy and go nowhere, but I have a hard time avoiding them because I work in an office of 4. What are your suggestions? So it's actually outside of the classroom, but people just generally in a workplace. So any advice?
Yes. I love this question because that means that you were listening. You said, oh, this triggers me. And then I feel this negative energy. Because again, all of your nervous systems are together. So if somebody is sharing a complaint, you immediately feel that energy from them. So my recommendation always when you're in those situations is to say, label what you imagine they may be feeling. Wow, Rosalind. That sounds absolutely frustrating. That sounds absolutely just hard. What are some solutions that you have been able to find around that? Boom. Now you've helped them see. Now you've used your nervous system to kind of engage. And then they won't feel judged or shut down. And if that doesn't work, get out of the room. Take care of your nervous system. We don't necessarily need to be around, like a lot of negativity.
Yeah, just take a break, take a step back.
Yes.
Okay, so people are asking about mindfulness. You've been talking about mindfulness throughout the talk. I mean, the question is still coming. Would you recommend regular mindfulness practices with young learners? And I suppose, what age would you start that at? Is there a beginning that you would say they're not really ready for it, or what do you think?
From the moment that they're born, you can help them come back to their body. And it doesn't necessarily have to look like, lotus sitting and doing, when you're little, it's about helping them understand what I just shared with you about the nervous system. When they're like, oh, I'm so frustrated, right? It's helping them to go, uh-oh, your body is getting full of emotion from your head to your toes. Let's mellow it. Let's calm it down, right? So that is being mindful. That by definition is pausing. Meditation and mindfulness is about pausing, breathing, noticing, right? A lot of people think that meditation is about not thinking. That's impossible, people. It's absolutely impossible. Your brain is constantly thinking, constantly giving you images. It's about seeing the image, seeing the emotional effect, but coming back to the breath. So young children, it's about bringing them back into their body. And I know Lorena's going to talk a lot about this in the next session, but it's young children. Yes, they don't have to sit, but we can tell them, hey, let's touch our heart and calm down, right? And also meditation with young children, very, very young children, 4 and younger, is you looking at them and saying, oh, this is so hard. And then taking deep breaths for them, and then calming your nervous system for them. Because remember, we co-regulate. We help one another calm down. I hope I answered the question. Did I answer the question?
Thank you. And then some. Thank you, Lena. Good stuff. So we've also had a couple of questions on teenagers and young adults. And I just wanted to take the moment to say that so this lesson has been with young learners in mind, Lena. I think it's not exclusive to young learners, but it's definitely had young learners in mind, isn't it?
Definitely. But again, adolescents will definitely pick up on your mood, right? And with adolescents, you know what's wonderful about adolescents? Let's say that you're having a really bad day, and you know a bunch of teens walk in and they're giving you the side eye. They're like, right? You can say something. Remember, laughter really works, right? You could say something like, you guys are picking up on my mood, huh? You guys are picking up on how crazy I feel today, huh? And then just crack up about it and be like, how about we get up and do a dance break and put on a song and everybody could dance? You know, ask them to show you, okay, who will play their favorite song? Raise your hand, and boom, they play it on the, you know, on their phone. Allow them. With teenagers, it's so much more fun because I want you to be their mentor, not their authoritarian. So model, model, model.
Thank you, Lena. Good stuff. Okay, I think it's time to introduce your partner in crime. I keep saying it, but it definitely is your partner in crime. I think it's a great way of putting it. Lorena Pembert, are you there?
Hi, Will.
Hi, Lorena. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm happy to be here.
Great stuff. Good to hear. I'm so glad that you're here. Great to have you back. I mean, you did a few webinars for us last year. Actually, this year, you did one in February. And I think you did one back in November last year as well. You're an absolute favorite part of the academic program. So thank you for being part.
Thank you
So much.
Thank you so much.
It's such a privilege to have you here, Lorena. So just, I had planned to bring up a picture of Lorena, but I said it in the first session. We've got Lorena here, the moving animated version of Lorena. So I'm just going to keep that there. So just a little bit of background about Lorena. She's been in teaching for actually since 1995. I won't say the amount of years. I don't know if you're, I won't say the number of years, but since 1995. And since then, you've been specializing in childhood. You told us that you've been working a lot on stimulation, learning disabilities, psychomotor skills, and you're still studying now, right?
Yes, I am finishing right now a master's in neuropsychology and education.
Wow. A very busy person. So you're teaching, you're mothering, you're doing webinars like this on a regular basis and still studying an MA.
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
stuff.
I think that we always have to be learners, right? We have to continue learning and updating ourselves and nourish our minds. So yeah, we're better prepared.
I couldn't agree more, Lorena.
To do what we do.
Definitely, couldn't agree more. So it's a pleasure to have you back, Lena. It really is. It's always a pleasure to have you here. So I saw the talk today. It is amazing. So you'll see that Lena, there's a cross between. Maybe you should be called Lena. So Lena's talk focus a bit more on teacher and how the teacher can regulate and co-regulate. Plus many more, but that was sort of looking from the teacher's perspective. And Lorena, you're going to be moving it on a bit more to still via the teacher a bit, but talking a bit more about the students, right? So I'm going to leave you to it. Have a wonderful session, and I'll see you all in about half an hour.
Thank you so much. Okay, so hi everybody. Hello here from California, and thank you for joining. Thank you for joining from different places around the world. It is an honor to be here with you today. And so today we're going to be talking about wellness and how it can help your students learn better. So, first of all, what is wellness? Well, wellness is the complete integration of body, mind, and spirit. The realization that everything we do, think, feel, and believe has an effect on our state of well-being. And I would also like to add that it has an effect on the way we learn. How is wellness linked to learning? Well, we need our body to learn, right? From the moment we are born, we use all of our senses to experience the world. That's how we start, learning about our environment, about our caregivers. We start seeing their reactions, and so we know what we can do, what we cannot do, etc. So we use it to learn. And also, we use it as a reference to learn things. For example, I read English from my right, from my left to my right, right? So I use my body to be able to find on a book left and right. And I am able to transfer that left and right on a book because I have experience with my body left and right here in space. So we use our body as a reference to learn things. Also, when we learn, we develop our mind. We interact with others. And when we interact, we're making connections, a lot of connections. And we store that information in our long-term memory. We reflect on what we learn. We use our creativity to transform what is around us or to solve problems. And that can help us develop different skills. Which skills? Social skills, cognitive skills, emotional skills, language communication, physical, etc. All of the skills that we need to learn. But to learn, we also need to feel motivated, valued, accepted, recognized. In other words, seen. I see you. That is very important. To the brain, it means that we belong. And if we belong, then that means that I'm going to survive. Remember that the brain, the only thing that the brain wants is to keep you alive. So that's why the environment and the people around us play a super important part in the learning process. Because if I can learn from them, if I am learning them there, if this is a safe place to learn, then I will survive, okay? But what happens when we don't feel accepted, valued, recognized, seen, or loved? What happens with that? Can we learn? No, right? We cannot learn because when we feel that we are not loved, we are rejected, we are in a constant threat. We are scared because if people don't love me, am I going to belong or not? If I don't belong, I may die. That's what the brain thinks. So we feel in a constant threat. So what happens? Our brain responds, hey, there is a threat. And that threat can be either physical or social. So our brain says, responds in an automatic way, responds quickly, and in a way, it also responds impulsively, yeah, to keep us alive. And the way it responds is what we call an emotion. And it is very personal. So emotions can come from inside me because of what I think, or it can be triggered from something that happened outside. Yeah. So it is very personal because in the same situation, people can feel different things. For example, your students, they are learning English with you. Some students may feel super excited because they are going to be learning a new language and because they understand everything and they want to learn more. So they are excited, they want to participate, they are there, they are motivated. Some others may feel scared. Oh no, we are going to have English class again. What am I going to do? I don't understand anything. I don't understand what I read. I don't understand what the teacher says. They feel scared. Some others may feel frustrated. Why? Because they see that others are already speaking English, but they aren't. So in the same situation, everybody's feeling different ways. So that's why emotions are personal. And so when an emotion appears, that this is automatically response that we cannot control, it shows up in our bodies in different places. And depending on the way they make us feel and how we feel them, we label with different names. Sometimes we feel the emotions in our face, in our cheeks, in our chest, in our stomach. Yes, we feel it in different places, maybe in all our bodies. And so when we feel them, depending on the place where we feel them and how they make us feel, we call them, oh, angry, sad, scared, happy, excited. Yes. And we get the feelings. Okay. So for adults, it might be easy to recognize how we feel. And we're able to find resources to manage our emotions because our brains have made a lot of connections, have matured enough, yes, and we have learned from others how to get help when we're feeling in a certain way. But for children who are still developing their thinking and emotional skills, who are still making connections here in their brain, it is hard to understand what they are feeling and what to do with what they are feeling. They don't know. They have to learn. And as Lina was saying, they plug in the nervous system of the caregiver or of their teachers to learn what to do. Do you remember this saying, children see, children do? Because we tend to imitate what the others do. Okay? So they are practicing, they're still practicing, and they are learning from adults or from the people around them how to control their emotions, what to do with what they're feeling. But they are not there yet. And so when they are struggling a lot with what they're feeling inside, and they cannot cope with what they're feeling, they are feeling stressed. How can we know when children are feeling stressed in the class? Okay, so I want you to imagine for a moment that you are teaching a very important thing and you want your students to pay completely attention to what you're saying. So you're in the middle of this explanation and suddenly one of your students starts bouncing. Another one is taking pencils and playing the drum. Another one suddenly gets distracted with something that they see in the window. And then one more raises their hand and says, teacher, may I go to the bathroom? That is very important, but okay, yeah, if you need to go, we'll go. And suddenly, everybody wants to go to the bathroom, right? Then I was explaining this and suddenly everybody wants to go to the bathroom. What happened is that they were showing different behaviors in the classroom that were telling you, we're feeling stressed. Maybe this is so overwhelming that we are not understanding. We feel scared. We're not understanding what you're saying. And so I cannot control this emotion of feeling scared. So I activate my flight, freeze, or fight mode. Yes? So when someone says, teacher, may I go to the bathroom, the other ones that also want to to go to the bathroom is because they are finding a way to escape, to go away, because this is too overwhelming. Yes? Okay. So what are the signs that children show when they are feeling stressed in the class? If they are activating their fight mode, they are misbehaving. They move or they stand up constantly. As I was telling you, they play the drums with their pencil. They start bothering their peers. They show defiant behavior. They avoid eye contact if you call their attention. And they give adult sullen looks. Like, yeah. But if they activate their flight or freeze response, they start daydreaming, they lose attention and cannot concentrate in an activity. They ask to go to the bathroom constantly. They show no interest in doing the activity. They don't want to cooperate if they are working in teams. And it is not that they are bad. It is not that they want really to misbehave. The thing is that they are doing that. There is a reason for their behavior. There's a reason. It is hidden behind these actions. But what is really happening is that they are experiencing negative feelings. And so when we are experiencing negative feelings while we are learning, the brain says, oh, so this what we're learning is unpleasant, right? So if this is unpleasant, I think it's not useful at all. So if the brain thinks that something that we're learning is not useful because it is unpleasant, then that learning is rejected. We're not going to learn it. In other words, if we're feeling stressed, we don't learn. That's why many people say, yeah, I took some English classes, but I really can't speak, or I really don't know English. After spending maybe the whole school, all elementary school, taking English classes, they don't know anything. They cannot speak. They don't know the language, even though they took classes. Why? Well, maybe they were experiencing negative feelings and they couldn't learn. And that happens with everything we learn, everything that we don't like. And there are some things that we say, oh no. I hate, for example, I hear frequently, I hate math. No, super difficult. Yeah, it's so overwhelming. I am not understanding. I am feeling scared. So the brain says, rejection. No, I don't want to learn it because I'm feeling stressed. So what can we do to help our students feel positive emotions as they learn? So before wanting to teach them, please take this into account. We have to love the children that we're going to teach. We have to love them. If you don't like teenagers, don't teach them. If you don't like preschoolers, don't teach them because you're going to struggle. You're not going to be able to connect with them, to form a bond. Yes? We have to love our students to teach them. So, how do we show them that we love them? First of all, consider the age of your students and read about their development, about their cognitive, social, physical development, everything, how they learn. So also you can plan activities accordingly. If you know how they learn, then you will know what activities you can plan so they are challenging enough for them to grow and to develop their skills, but that they are not so overwhelming that they are so, oh, I cannot do this, and they cannot learn them. Yes, so it's important to know about their development. Another thing, before the school year starts, find out through a questionnaire that you can send home and ask them or their parents fill out. What are their likes or dislikes, their expectations? Because if you find out what are their likes and dislikes, then you can create a nice environment for them. You can decorate your classroom, the name tags. You can even play the music that they like when they are working. That's going to help them feel happy, right? So it is very important to get into the world of our students so we're able to connect with them too. Something super important, set rules and routines. Don't be afraid of doing this. When we have rules, we feel safe. I always like to imagine that when we set rules, it's like walking over a bridge that is on a highway. Yes? So life is going here, the cars, and you have to walk through life, right? So what happens? Imagine that you have to walk on this bridge, but the bridge has no railing. What happens when you have to walk over those cars passing by? If it has no railing, even though you walk in the middle of the bridge, you're going to feel unsafe. Why? Because the railings, even though they are not touching you, they are protecting you from falling down. They are keeping you alive. They make you feel safe. Yes. So those railings are the rules. They will help your students feel safe, and they need to feel safe to learn. So it is very important that you set rules and you ask your students to follow them. And number 5, and very importantly, create a positive bond with your children. Super important. They need to feel you love them. They need to feel you care. They need to feel that even though they make mistakes, they are not going to lose your love. It is very important that you tell them, I don't like what you did, but I still love you. We can work on the action. I'm not going to stop loving you. Create this positive bond with your children and take the time to do it the first 2 weeks of the school year. If you create a positive bond with your children, they will feel safe with you. They will trust you, and they will want to learn from you anything you want to teach them. So creating a bond is super important, teachers. So now we start the class. Before starting the class, after greeting your students, take a moment to help them set their minds. As Lina was saying, take a moment to calm down. Maybe you're going to start your English class after recess or after they come back from PE. And so what happens when they come back from PE or from recess? They are like, right? So take a moment to calm down, to set their minds. Okay, everybody? And maybe you can sing a song, you read them, and then you can start your class. Okay? You can also do a small meditation. Concentrate on the reading or listen to the sound of your heart. I like to make a small meditation with students in which they imagine that they have a candle and they blow the candle slowly. And you can do this, as Lina was saying, for 45 seconds or 1 minute. It is not going to take that much of your class, but it will do a lot for you. They can also tilt their head a little bit, put your hands on their heart, and listen to the beat for 1 minute. It will help them calm down. You can also do some brain games. You play some music, and what you need to do is to cross, the parts of your body from your right to your left. Yes, you can do this to the sound of music, or you can put some steps. I like to do this one, and I used to teach them to my kids. Obviously, at the beginning, they didn't get them. They were not able to do them. So we laughed a lot. Well, we kept practicing and practicing and practicing until they got them. One is putting your fingers like this, and then you switch. And so you play some music, and then you start dancing with your fingers. Another one is this one. Another one is snapping your fingers and touching your ears. And so you're dancing, you're doing this ringing, and all this will help them set their mind. While in the class, super important teachers, remember, some of your students are going to feel scared because they don't understand. So use a lot of body language and modulate your voice so they understand what you are saying. Explain step by step what they have to do, and if possible, show them the final product. They may not understand the words in English, but they will understand what they need to do by looking. Yes? And so that will help them be in control of the situation and feel not that scared. Also, when you are developing your activities, take into account your children's attention span. More or less is the age 5-3. So if you have students who are 6 years old, by 3, they're going to be able to pay attention to you or to the activity that they are doing for 18 to 20 minutes. And that goes up. For example, if they are in 6th grade, they are able to more or less pay attention or do an activity that lasts 30 minutes. Okay? So take that into account, because if the activities are too long for them to handle, they are also going to feel overwhelmed and they are going to feel stressed. And you can lose group control, and we don't want that. As I was telling you before, create an environment in which you turn mistakes into an opportunity to learn. Be flexible. Remember, in this age, they are practicing. They are developing skills. Some of them are going to do it very quickly, and some of them are going to take a little bit more of time, and that is okay. Is it like some children walk before others? And that is okay, they will get there. They will get to read. They will make mistakes. So it's okay to make mistakes. What can we learn from those mistakes? That is what's important. Because when we realize when we make mistakes, then we can learn from them, and we are more conscious of what we're doing next time. Focus on your children's strengths rather than in their weaknesses. Yes, they may do a lot of things that are wrong, but they have some talents. What are their talents? Focus on that and praise them when they do something good. They will feel accepted, valued. Do you remember I told you that you need to feel accepted, valued, motivated, and loved? So this is what you have to do. Don't forget, focus on your strengths. In one of them. Hey, you did this that you did was amazing. Congratulations. Okay? And of course, Of course, don't forget to play, play, play. When the brain feels later, then it says, oh, this what I'm learning is useful. So it stores that learning in the long-term memory. So I'm going to remember it forever. So don't forget to play. Think how you can play to get to the objectives that you want, to the learning objectives that you want, and play games. There are a lot of games, such as that in the teacher side. So you can get some more ideas there, okay? And of course, while you're giving the class, feel the class constantly. Feel how they're feeling. And if you think that they are not paying attention anymore, again, stop. You don't have to continue. You have to stop and you have to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to continue this activity? I'm going to do plan B. It's okay to be flexible, as Lina was saying. When this happens, and while you think what you're going to do next, have them stretch, breathe in, breathe out, drink water to reconnect. You can also dance an action song to release energy, or you can do some brain games. It will take you 1 minute to reconnect. And while they are doing that, you're thinking, okay, am I going to continue with this activity because it is very important that they finish it? Or no, we can do that later. Let's move on to the next one. Okay? So, what happens if they are showing big feelings while they are in the class? As Lina was saying, one of the first things that you have to do is to take care of the class. Have them do something, put them an activity in which they can work and take a moment to talk to the students or to the students who are feeling big feelings and help them follow these steps. Remember that as adults, we need to teach our children what to do with what they're feeling and how to manage their emotions. So the first thing that we have to do is to help them label their emotions. You are feeling frustrated because you're feeling scared because. So help them label what they feel and then have them tolerate the emotion. What are we feeling? Why are you feeling what you're feeling? Why are you feeling scared? Here, here, here. Okay, it's okay. Because when we are able to recognize where I am feeling it, then we are then able to connect and to say, okay, I'm feeling this from concrete to abstract, and then I am able to then know what I can do. Okay. Also, help them recuperate from the emotion. If possible, have a peace corner in the class. It is very important in this peace corner, if you're able to do it, teachers, you can put some cushions, you can put some stress relief toys like this one that I have here. You can create this one. You can have balloons filled with flowers so they can press them. You can have punching bags. You can even have a diffuser with essential oils like lavender, as Lina was saying, to help them relax. Once they calm down, they will be able to talk and you will be able to help them to find solutions to the problem. Okay? So look at this, teachers. If we do this, your children will feel loved and safe with you. If they feel safe with you, they will want to learn from you. If they are motivated to learn and find pleasure while learning with you, they will improve in everything. Their grades will improve and they're going to thrive at school. So that means that if you take care of your emotions, the academic level of your kids is going to go up too. Can you see the impact of teaching your students with love? We have the power to make the world a little bit better from where we are, teachers. And I know that you love what you do, and that you are interested in your children, that you love your children. That's why you are here. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Remember, the best of life is in your hands and is your students. You have an amazing job, and I just wish you the best of luck. Don't forget to ask for your copy of your wellness book, so you can get more ideas on what to do to create wellness in your class. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Lorena. Thank you. What a heartwarming session. You've done it again. You did it this morning. It just gives me this wonderful glow just listening to you speak. You've got such a beautiful passion for little ones and helping them learn and helping them be loved. And I just love that your messages make them feel loved. Love, not even that, love them. Quite simply, love the children that you teach. And it's a really resonant message. Thanks so much, Lorena.
Thank you, Will, for inviting me to speak.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Lorena. Thank you. So we've had a couple of questions. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. So the first one is, if children have come from difficult backgrounds, I know that's not sort of a black and white thing. You either come from an easy background or a difficult background. But if you've got children that are particularly, on the extreme end of the scale, where they have had quite traumatic upbringings, do you have any specific advice for those kids, or is it sort of the same?
Yeah. Okay, so when they come from difficult backgrounds, they have developed a form of attachment in which they are feeling threatened all the time, right? They are scared because their main needs have not been fulfilled, right? So since they are in constant threat, they are scared all the time. They tend to act impulsively. They tend to misbehave a lot. They even tend to have defiant behaviors, right? Because they are in constant threat. They need to attack all the time. So since they come from this difficult background, what you need to do as a teacher is to make them feel that in the school, they're going to find a safe place to be. And that you are going to be that safe person that is going to hold them. And for a moment, they can find like a refugee in you in school, right?
Nice.
So if you know that they come from different backgrounds, again, make them feel loved, make them feel safe, hold them, be patient, be flexible, yes, create bonds with them, find a way to connect to them. And if you do this, at least they are going to have you. At least they are going to have you to feel good and loved and cared, because they need that. So you have to be patient with these kids. Remember, they are not misbehaving. They just have these things that are happening in their house that make them be or act in the way they act in the classroom. So take the time to love them, to talk to them, to hold them, maybe offer to hug them too. So I think that is important. When you create the bond, when they feel that they can trust you and feel safe with you, because to that point, they haven't really trusted the adults or the caregivers. They cannot trust in them because they have failed them, right? So you need to gain first their trust so they can be in your class and trust you, and then be able to learn from you. But first you have to create the bond with them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lorena. I've got another question actually that's we haven't really spoken about it today, but this is kind of related to that question. Is there ever a point that you feel, or are there any triggers that you feel a teacher would require external support, where you feel that the situation has gone beyond your control, even though you've sort of ticked all the boxes and followed the advice that you and Lena have been given today? Is there a particular sort of set of triggers or things that you should look out for where you feel it's kind of beyond a teacher's remit, let alone their ability to be able to cope with a situation like that?
Yes, of course. There are some times that there are situations that you cannot handle by yourself and you need experts to help you, right? So first of all, just don't forget what Lena said. Children plug in our nervous system, right? So first of all, you have to calm down so they calm down. Children see, children do, okay? So if they are not able to calm down, or if you think that, okay, I try to manage this, but this is beyond what I can do because I do not have the strategies, then I have to tell the coordinator or the counselor or someone in the school to help me. Maybe I have talked to the parents and see and find out a little bit what's going on. At that point, all of the adults that take care of that child have to be together to hold him and to find strategies in which we can help him. We can help him cope with those emotions that they are feeling. So when we are able to control that, they can thrive. So at that point, yes, all the tribe, we say that it gets all the community to help just one child, right? So all the tribe, all the people, everybody, all the people that is around them have to help them, not only one person. And yes, it's okay to ask for help.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lorena. I think that's it. That's all we've got time for, I think. Thank you once again for such an amazing session, such a heartwarming session, an enlightening and educational session. Thank you so much for putting it together.
Thank you, Will. It's a pleasure, and thank you all for joining.
Okay, so I've got something else I'd like to. Bye, Lorena, thank you. So in an email next week, this is if you're watching on Zoom. If you're watching on Facebook, there'll be a link below where you can get the certificate for this session. If you're watching on Zoom and you've registered for this session and come along via Zoom, you're going to get an email from us next week. The email will have your certificate, and it will also have a virtual goodie bag. And front and center of that virtual goodie bag is a free book, which Lena and Loretta have written. It's an absolutely beautiful book, and they're giving it to you. We're just giving it away to anyone who comes to this session because it's too special to keep hidden behind an ISBN, I think. So we're just going to give it. So you open your email and you'll see this book. It's called The Little Book of Wellness, A Little Book of Wellness. What it contains is practical advice from Lena and Lorena to help introduce a social and emotional learning program and foster well-being in the primary classroom. It might also be useful, a lot of it in there I'm sure is also going to be helpful for teens and adult learners too. So what it's been designed to do is help you build the foundations of social emotional learning, which in turn will lead to better behavior, better relationships, and ideally, hopefully, a better well-being for your students too, for you and your students. It'll also improve classroom management by establishing some techniques to improve student concentration, self-regulation, empathy. And it also aims to empower your students to talk about their feelings and well-being by giving them knowledge and the confidence to be able to express themselves. Being that you've come to this session today, you're here to see a wellness day, I'm assuming this is an area of interest for you, and that you agree when I say that SEL should belong. It belongs in schools and it should be inherent in the curriculum. So this book is hopefully one step towards that, if it's not already there. Please do take a look at that. It's all yours. It will be on the email coming to you next week. So I very much hope you enjoy that. from Lena and Lorena. So thank them. Thank you very much, Lena. Thank you very much, Lorena, for this book. It's beautiful.